the outset, I thank and congratulate Dr. Regina, my close friend, for this very important and good initiative. And also, I appreciate the IOH for the wonderful activity which you are doing, which I think is like cycles on roads. If someone thinks that cycles are redundant, then you have to relook, because cycle is the vehicle of future, and there is no other vehicle. I wouldn't say there is any invention as good as a cycle. So you all know about that. I know most of you are health activists, so you all know about that. So what cycle is to transport is what lifestyle is to treating diseases. No cost, but the best measure. And so let me also thank Dr. Sheila Nambiar and Dr. Anjali Nagra of the ISLM. I know that you had been taking lead role in initiating and implementing this movement. And I really do appreciate the big activity which you are doing. So I was told that I have around 15 to 20 minutes to do the initial lecture, and maybe around 10 to 15 minutes to take this talk. Now, I wouldn't say I'm an expert in this field. Neither would I say that I am a big academician. But I will definitely say that I'm very passionate and a very ardent student of this field. So that is why, if you don't really restrict to me, the 15 minutes may very well turn out to be 15 hours, because I wouldn't mind speaking about food, diet, and a good lifestyle on and on and on. So I would request Regina and others to keep a close watch and keep warning me how many minutes more are left. Because what we are about to see in the next 15 to 20 minutes is a very revealing truth. And I'm not joking. I'm not a quack or a fake to give a fake message. It's a very revealing truth. What was told by the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates himself, 450 years before Christ, he told, "Let food be thy medicine." And that is so very true even today. Food is medicine if taken in the right proportion. And like anything else, if not taken correctly, it's poison. So that is something very important which we have to understand. Now, I'll just quote a small example when we start with this lecture. Now, today, we are all sitting in our houses or our offices, having a net connection. Maybe you're on your laptop, maybe you're on your mobile phone. We're all wearing clothes, and someone on Zoom traditionally wears only the upper part of the clothes. The lower part, you never know what you're wearing. But anyway, that's okay. But we all look very sophisticated. But let's not forget that we are all ultimately human beings. And let's not forget that our great grandfathers used to live in forests. So we were born in forests. And we had three basic requirements: oxygen to breathe, water, and food. So these were the three basic requirements we had. And the nature or God, whatever you would like to call, gave us all the three. Oxygen, it's there everywhere. And you cannot say that every day I'm taking oxygen, so I'm bored. So today I'm going to take helium or nitrogen or hydrogen. You can't. You have to breathe oxygen every day. And that is automatically set. You don't have to bother. You don't even have to count. You have to just follow your respiratory process. And unless you stop voluntarily, you are going to continuously breathe the 21% oxygen which is there around you. Similarly, water. You are not making any water. You are not putting 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen and making water. Water is there around. Maybe you're purifying that, but you can't produce water. Water is there around. But what about food? Food is also there around. Now, this food, when we were born into the forest, the God gave us a mechanism, or nature gave us a mechanism to look for this food. And what was that mechanism? Let's not forget that. It was not shopper, eater, credit carder. It was not Swiggy and Reliance and all those. It was hunter-gatherer. We had to hunt, we have to gather. So let me ask you a very, very simple question. Now, if before this lecture, if I were to give an option to you on social media, that who is a better kid or who is a better man? A person who looks at the clock and eats at the dot 3 times a day, or a person who eats as and when it's possible and skips most of his meals? I'm sure the majority would answer it's common sense, common logic, that a person who looks at the clock and eat at dot is the right man. But our forefathers in the forest, could they eat every day? Could they eat on time? No, they couldn't. So if they got food, they ate that. Maybe for days together, they didn't get it and they couldn't eat it. And our body has been developed in such a way that our body can adapt to both. Our body on one side takes in food, assimilates it, uses that, and if there is excess, stores that. And on the other half, on those days when we cannot eat food, when we are fasting, the body uses this energy, it dissolves this fat, and then our lives carry on. That is the natural mechanism of a hunter-gatherer body. No animal in the world eats 3 times a day. No animal in the world eats more than what they have. No animal in the world eats food for celebration. Everyone eats food for survival, other than human beings. So that is something basic which we have to understand. And we think that only feeding is what is required and fasting is not required, which is completely unphysiological. It is not correct. Human body is made to feed and also fast. Because why? There are many mechanisms in the body, including the repair of body cells. I'll tell a term called autophagy, A-U-T-O-P-H-A-G-Y, autophagy. Autophagy is the repair of body cells. And that trigger for autophagy is fasting. You can search on Google. So this is a discovery which got the Nobel Prize 4 years before. A Japanese scientist got Nobel Prize for that. So when you're fasting for more than 12 hours, when there is ketone bodies in your body, certain mechanisms start in your body. And it took us years and centuries of research to identify what Hippocrates told 450 years before Christ. That let food be thy medicine. And what in the Indian Veda has taught us, Ekabhukta Mahayogi, person who eats once a day is a yogi. Dubhukta Bhogi, Tribhukta Rogi, Chaturbhukta Drogi. So it is there. So it is for us to discover. And when we say this, I'm an MD medicine doctor. I also did my diabetes studies abroad. I'm also very passionate about modern medicine. But when we talk about food, then people will ridicule you saying that what you are saying, this is the ultimate scientific fact. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So earlier we realize, the better it is. So over the next maybe around 7 to 8 minutes, I don't think I have time beyond that. I'm going to tell you about how you are going to reverse diabetes with food. And mind you, I'm not going to tell you about controlling diabetes or reducing diabetes. I'm going to talk to you about reversing diabetes. So the first question is, doctor, is it possible? We have all heard that diabetes is a lifelong disease, and once you have been diagnosed with diabetes, you can't go back. Isn't that true? No, it's not true. Now, in 2017, a good big research got published in the International Diabetes Federation. And that research was called the DIRECT study, D-I-R-E-C-T. It was led by 2 scientists called Mike Lean and Roy Taylor from UK. They took 300 patients, half of them got good food, 800 calories. They started reducing weight. The other half got the best medicines. 1 year later, in that group of good food group or the intervention group, for those who reduced more than 15 kilograms of body weight, 86% of them did not require any drugs. They were diabetes with 1 to 6 years duration. No drugs. All drugs stopped. Without drugs, their HbA1c, their overall control is perfect after 1 year, without any drugs, in those who reduced more than 15 kilogram weight loss. In those who reduced some weight, between 1 and 15 kilo, it was 46%. 2 years later, in 2019, they reviewed what happened to that original 86%. 76% of them still didn't require any drugs. So what does that mean? It means that diabetes is reversible. These people had diabetes. Now, someone may say that, doctor, isn't that okay? They are not taking drugs, but now they are on diet. And isn't it because diet is their treatment? This diet is not a treatment diet. This diet is not something specific for diabetes. It's a universal food for every human being on this earth. I will not even call it for patients. I will not even call it diet. So that is why my lecture is not on diet. My lecture is on food. Food for everyone. The food which ensures two things, just two things. One, you get the calories you require and not more than that. And two, the distribution of calories is what it ought to be. So these are the only two simple things which we have to understand if we have to eat a good food. The first thing is how many calories we need. We need food for calories, there's no doubt. And if we have to reduce our body fat, that brings me to the next question. Doctor, should I reduce body fat? I'm not that fat. I look very okay. There are three scientific measures. One, take a tape, take a measuring tape. See the circumference around your waist. It should be less than 80 centimeter in an Indian female and less than 90 centimeter in an Indian male. If it's more than that, you have abdominal obesity. If you have abdominal obesity, it's an indication that you are having fat inside your viscera, most notably inside your liver and pancreas. And if you're having fat inside your liver and pancreas, those organs are not going to function. You are going to have insulin resistance, you are going to have diabetes, and you are going to have a lot of other cardiac diseases. If you can get rid of this fat around your abdomen, you are also simultaneously getting rid of your fat inside your internal organs. There is proof for that. Internal organs, and once the fat inside your internal organs reverse, and let me tell you, it doesn't take long. In just 7 days of a low-calorie diet, the fat inside your liver will start melting. In around 8 weeks' time, the fat inside your pancreas will start going away. And by then, your insulin sensitivity improves, your diabetes will start coming down. If you don't have diabetes, your tendency for diabetes will start coming down. Your blood pressure drops, your cholesterol drops. So the ideal waist circumference, that is the single most important measure which is required. I'll just tell you only three figures. The first figure is waist. Males, 90 centimeter. Females, 80 centimeter. That's my first figure. You have to keep it less than that. And if you are at least aiming towards that, suppose you have 120 now, don't worry. 118 is better than 120, 114 is better than 180. So aim towards 80, aim towards 90. The second measure is your body mass index. You divide your weight in kilogram by your height in meter squared. Suppose you are 150 centimeter tall, and your height is 150 centimeter and your weight is 50 kilo, then it becomes 50 divided by 1.5 divided by 1.5. And that figure should be, sorry, I was
without my mic so far. Yeah, I told you, I'm so passionate that I get carried away. I think I'm more audible now. Fine, good enough. So if your body mass index should ideally be less than 23, if it is more than 28 or 30, you are overweight. So it ideally should be less than 23. When we say ideal, these are the pass marks. Don't think if you are 24, okay, chalega, you are near normal. No, you have to be less than 23. And the third thing is your body fat percentage. It should be less than 32 in females, less than 25 in males. Your visceral fat less than 5 in females and less than 10 in males. But don't bother about all those things. Just bother about one measurement, your waist circumference. So that is first thing. So if your waist is high, then you have to bring it down and you have to melt down your fat. And if you have to melt down your fat, you need two equations. The first equation, the total calories you need. And the total calories you need, if you have to melt down your fat, that is my second figure, should not be more than 20 calories per kilogram. So if you are aiming at 20 calories per kilogram, for 50 kilo, it's 1000 calories. For 70 kilo, it's 1400 calories. So Michaelin and Roy Taylor gave 800 calories. So we are targeting somewhere around, let's say 1000, maximum is 1400, but it would be good to keep it less than 1000 calories. So two figures are over, 80, 90, and 1000 to 1400. 80 and 90 are centimeters and 1000 to 1400 are calories. And now the third and the last point. From where should these calories come? We have two sorts of food, macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are something which we require in large quantities. Micronutrients are something which we require in small quantities. So all your vitamins and minerals are micronutrients. If you're going to eat the right macronutrient, you're already going to get your micronutrients. So let's not discuss that any further. You don't need anything special for that. No vitamins, no pills, nothing. You only have to eat a good food. And now let's come to the macronutrient. And that's my third and final formula. Your macronutrient composition of this 20 calorie per kilogram body weight, what we have told, your macronutrient contribution should be 50% or less of carbohydrates. That's most important. Less than 50% carbohydrate, 20% protein, and 30% fat. That's all. Now, the carbohydrates mainly come from four sources. One is sweets, two is roots and cereals, tubers and cereals, three is fruits, and four is vegetable. And I'll give you a small example. You take 100 gram of each. 100 gram of glucose contains 100 gram of glucose. 1 gram of glucose has 4 calories. So 100 gram of glucose has 400 calories. So it's all maths. It's all maths. So it's 100, 100, 400. If you take 100 gram of dry rice, it has 80 grams of glucose. And 80 into 4 is 320 calories. So 100 gram rice, 80 gram glucose, 320 calories. If you take 100 gram of ordinary fruit, it has only 15 gram of glucose and 60 calories. So it's 100, 15, 60. If you take 100 gram of vegetables, it has only 5 grams of glucose and 20 calories. So it is 100, 5, 20. So you see here, 100, 100, 400, 180, 320, 115, 60, 105, 20. Which means that if you're going to fill 100 grams with vegetables, or even 500 grams with vegetables, you just need not bother about either your glucose or your calorie, because the glucose content in your food is not going to be high. The calorie content of your food is not going to be high. Fruits comes next. Cereals are bad. Sugar and sweets are worst. And this is uniform. This is universal. It's not for diabetes. It's for everyone. So if we are able to observe these three things and bring down your weight, then we can see that many of us can actually reverse diabetes, and all of us can definitely reduce the drugs. It's not because drugs are dangerous. Drugs are fantastic. Drugs are very good. But if you wouldn't require, why would you take it? So that is why it's our task to reduce that. Now, someone may say, I'll just speak for 3 more minutes and stop. Someone may say, doctor, but I'm not alone at my home. I have my kids, I have my parents, there are so many people around. And then, what do all of them eat? The answer is very simple. Your kids have a high risk of developing diabetes and heart disease. And they have to be taught this right from their school age. Our generation is already suffering. Let the next generation not suffer. So this is food for everyone at home. And that's what we call a food plate. And in the food plate, just give me a second. I'll just take a picture. Now you can see that half the plate should be vegetables and fruits. And of the other half should be grains, half should be protein, and only 1/4 grains, and 10% dairy products. This is the food plate. You can go to Google or wherever, and you can find that food plate. And that is something very, very practical. The IMA's national food policy consists of only one line: fill half your plate with vegetables, full stop. So that is the crux. And if we start doing that, then our health would improve drastically. Two last points. The second thing is about fasting. There's a scientific method of fasting, but if you can fast, then it's very good. For patients with diabetes who are on insulin or on glucose lowering drugs like what we call amaryl, dionyl, glycid, and things like that, then you cannot fast beyond an extent. But most of the people nowadays, we tend to give them drugs which do not produce hypoglycemia, like metformin, sitagliptin, vildagliptin, gliflozins, and a lot of drugs are there. So such people can fast. So when you fast, it should be by consulting your doctor. But fasting is a very, very important tool. There are very different forms of fasting, and maybe sometime later we can have a different lecture on that altogether. But that's again something which is very important, because as I told you right from the beginning, the human physiology, that means the normal functioning of our body, mandates fasting at least for 12 hours every day. And my last point is on exercise. There are 4 forms of exercise. One, aerobics. When your heart pounds, when you sweat, when you fall short of breath, that's the best tonic for your heart, aerobics. Second thing, anaerobics. You strengthen your muscles. It's actually very good, but should be done only after aerobics, after toning your body. Otherwise, it can be counterproductive. And you can do that 3 or 4 times a week, or maybe twice or thrice a week. The third thing is flexibility, your yoga, posturing, and things like that. That's a third addition after your aerobics and anaerobics. The fourth thing is actually the most important thing, and that is activities of daily living. I'll just quote one example and I'll stop. If you lie down for an hour, you are spending 50 calories, 56 to be precise. If you sit up, you spend 78 calories. And if you just stand up, for an hour, you spend 128 calories. So instead of sitting, stand up. Instead of sitting on sofa and watching the TV, walk and watch. While talking on phone, walk, climb the stairs, walk as much as you can, do cycling. So all these things of our daily activity do help us in maintaining a good body physiology. So to sum up, I'll say that what Hippocrates told 450 years before Christ is absolutely true. And the modern thought, the trend of reversal of diabetes, you can go into the net and you can see, maybe 5-10 years back, nobody of us, I had been treating diabetic patients for the last 20 years. And 5-10 years back, we never talked about reversing diabetes. But today, my center specializes on reversing of diabetes through the food technique. So it's absolutely important, and we are catching up. And it's for this generation, on all the patients and those who are going to be patients in this generation, to reap the benefit of this fantastic, no-cost, physiological, natural, scientific method to reverse our diabetes. So once again, I thank the IOH and its leadership, Dr. Regina and all your colleagues, for this wonderful opportunity. And I thank all of you who have been so very kind, patient to attend this. And if I just don't want you to translate this into your life, I actually want you to be brand ambassadors of the movement. Propagate it amongst those who are seeing that there is no hope, and tell them, look, bhai, khabrana nahi, hope hai, ye reverse ho sakta hai. Thank you very much.